Good evening, and welcome to day 30 of 40 days of Bible study and prayer. Over these last 30 days, we've been going over the lies the devil tells us, that we tell ourselves, or that society tells us, and we've been looking for the truth in the Bible. This lie tonight was provided to me or given to me by my husband. Um, and it's also they've all been good so far, right? I mean, these are all lies that we tell ourselves, or that we let the devil tell us, or society tell us. Um, I honestly, when I first started these 40 days, I didn't give thought to how many lies there would be. But after a few weeks, I was starting to get worried that I wouldn't be able to, find 40 lies. But believe it or not, there's just so many of them. There's probably more to go beyond 40 days. Um, but I already gone through most of the ones that I told myself, and so I asked my husband for some ideas, and he gave me a really good one. And to be honest, it's also a lie that I've told myself, and I know a lot of people tell themselves. Um, and partially because this lie it has a tad bit of truth to it. Not a lot, just a tad. Just a tad. Um, So, yeah, let's go ahead and talk about tonight's lie. So, tonight's lie is I'll never understand God's ways. Um, God's ways are hard to understand. We don't know his thoughts, we don't understand his ways because we rely on our ways so much. Um, and God's ways are very confusing sometimes. Sometimes they don't make sense to us in the moment. And we sometimes attribute God's ways to some pain or some hurt in our lives, which is actually incorrect thinking. Um, but his ways are so high that it's really really hard to understand. But it doesn't mean that we'll never understand. That's the lie. God's ways are hard to understand, but we can never say that I'll never understand his ways, because then we would be lying to ourselves. Because the truth is, the closer we get to him, the more we'll understand his ways. And the reason I'm confident in this truth is actually because of my husband's relationship with me. when we first um, when we first got married, of course, there were still some things we had to discover about each other, and there was ways I thought, and then ways that he thought. We each had our own ways, and as we discussed them, as we went over them, we found out how many of our ways were actually really different. And so, what he did, his way of approaching our relationship, is to really understand me. What he did is he actually started to purposely adopt some of my ways. Even though he didn't understand them, even though he didn't agree with them, he started to just adopt some of my ways. That way he could understand. And as he did that, as he started to try to see things from my eyes, to ask me questions, to, clarify why I felt the way I felt, why I thought the way I thought, really just dig in to me. He got closer to me. He would get close to me. He would ask me, he would just try and dig it out to understand. And once he did that, he was able to start realizing why I operated the way I operated. And I did the same for him. I tried to understand why he thought certain ways. It just didn't make sense to me. I'm like, why would you do this? Why do you believe this? Why do you have these thoughts about, people or situations? What triggers your thinking? What makes you think that way? And same thing, I'd ask him questions. I'd get really close to him. I'd start to see what drove him. I'd learn about his past, where he came from, what kind of, family he had. And then as I started to really get in, I started to also see why he did the things he did. So Understanding just takes digging and getting closer to the person. And that's what we have to do with God. We have to get closer to Him to understand His processes, His ways. It's not that we will never get it, but as long as we keep thinking our way and not even trying to understand what He's doing in our lives, or the reasons for what He's doing, or the reasons why He gives us the commands that He's given us, if we don't even attempt to seek the answers to that or to adopt those ways on our own just to see what it does, we're never going to get it. But we can get it. So the thing is, we can't say that we'll never understand. We just have to try. We just have to make the effort if we really want to. So Isaiah 55, 8 through 9 says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your ways, my thoughts than your thoughts." I think I skipped a word there maybe, but you get the point. So God's ways are higher and his thoughts are higher. So of course, we're not going to get it at the beginning. It's going to be tough to understand. And there's going to be times where we're like, you know what, I just don't get it. But doesn't mean, you heard people say never, right? Especially when it comes to God, never say never. You just got to put in some effort here. You know, it's like when we're children. When we're children, our parents, we have a limited understanding of the world. We haven't experienced a lot when we're children, but our parents have. Our parents have seen things. They've gone through these things. They've experienced things. And so when they tell us what to do or why to do something, or it may not make sense to us at the beginning. We may not totally get why you're telling us to, why they tell us to do certain things because their ways are higher than our ways and their thoughts are higher than our thoughts. It's adults versus children. So they have a deeper understanding of whatever the situation is that we're going through. And that's why they give us their advice. And that's why they tell us what path to follow because their ways are higher. So the Father is our Father, right? God is our Father. He's our parent. He's our true parent. We have our earthly parents, but we have our heavenly Father, and His ways are higher than all. So, of course, there's going to be some frustration and misunderstanding along the way. Because if we haven't seen the bigger picture like He does, He sees everything. We see our limited point of view. We see what we've experienced. We see the things that we've heard. And that is so limited compared to what He sees, which is everything, the whole world, everyone, generations of people, thousands of years worth of people and generations. He's seen it all. We've seen just a tiny, tiny little sliver of it, of the big picture. We may think that we're big thinkers and big picture thinkers, but still our big picture is small compared to His big picture. So, of course, there's going to be trouble understanding. But we just have to get closer to Him. We have to get closer. We have to open the Bible and figure out what's going on here. Why am I not getting it? Why am I not understanding what's happening? Maybe it's because we're going to the world to look for understanding instead of going to our Creator to look for it. Maybe we're seeking the answers in the wrong places. When you're a kid or when we were children, we were told, whenever we're researching for a paper or research paper, we're told to go to the library and open up books, right? We have to go and we have to do research to get supporting evidence for whatever it is we're talking about. Same thing with God. But the evidence is all in the Bible. So if we never open it, or if we just go to church only on Sundays to hear one passage out of the 66 books of the Bible, we're not going to get close to understanding. We're still going to be confused. We're still going to feel frustration. We have to learn his ways and adopt them ourselves in order to begin to understand. Sorry, I'm having a hard time going to the next screen.